The Many Problems of Luka Erebi, including one Wren Vespula. Chapter 8. Luka is well-loved. Luka's jaw dropped when she read Bellamy's message. Bella, Mr. Holt said he'll allow you to temporarily have a camera installed. Meet me at the bookstore. She only saw it after morning class, so she made her trek over to the bookstore. The wind was picking up. Clouds were rolling in, blocking out the sun. A big storm was coming tomorrow night. She zipped up her windbreaker. Luka thanked Wren, in her head, for insulting her jacket's ineffectiveness against the wind. She was practically a popsicle after riding on Wren's motorbike. If Wren hadn't done that, Luka would have just worn the same jacket from yesterday and regretted her decision. Entering through the west side of the bookstore, Luka glanced at the workers by the counter. Bellamy wasn't there. Then she turned her gaze to her left, seeing two familiar women sitting at a table by the window, one blonde and the other a brunette. It was Bellamy and Ari. Books and notebooks were spread on the table, like they were in the middle of a study session. Bellamy wore a yellow dress over her pastel pink jacket, while Ari had on a sleeveless shirt with a fur jacket that was lowered to reveal her shoulders. Luka took the empty chair and sat down. "Did you really report Mr. Holt?" she asked. Bellamy nodded. "I didn't expect the housing office to respond so quickly." Ari blew out a huff, seemingly amused. How could they delay an apis? When she heard that, Bellamy pouted, but she didn't respond to Ari. "Luka, you got time before your next class, right?" Yeah. "Let's go to the mall." Ari, having already figured out Luka's answer, started cleaning up her notes and stashed them in her bag. She wasn't wrong in her assumption. Luka didn't really have any room to say no to Bellamy. Luka nodded, and Bellamy beamed like a ray of sunshine in the upcoming storm. She squinted against Bellamy's brightness. Bellamy hurriedly packed up her notes and books, humming some sort of tune. Meanwhile, Ari patted Luka's back and said, "See? This is why you needed to tell her. An apis gets things done." Upon hearing her last name, Bellamy once again scowled. "Are you the one who told her about my family?" "Did I really need to? I figured everyone on this island already knew." Ari wondered, placing a finger to her chin in a mock, thoughtful expression. Shoving her last book into her bag, Bellamy shook her head. "That's a lie." Ari only shrugged, without elaborating. Luka gaped at the situation. Every time she saw Bellamy and Ari together, the same question always popped up in her head. Why did Bellamy befriend Ari? When it came to Ari, Luka knew she enjoyed pushing the buttons of anyone and everyone, whether it was good or bad. Luka didn't mind it too much, since most of what Ari knew about her was superficial. But for Bellamy, Luka had only learned that her family recognition was a sore spot for her, yet Ari kept poking at it. Weirdly enough, maybe that was exactly why. Ari didn't put Bellamy on a pedestal. She treated her like she would anyone else. Kind of like what Luka did, without even realizing it. This didn't mean Luka liked that this was how Ari was going to end this conversation. Actually, Luka said, almost shouting, "I learned about it myself." "Really? Why?" Because Wren berated me for not knowing about the history of Insecta." "Sorry, Wren." Luka prayed this didn't come back to bite her for throwing Wren under the bus. "Oh. Oh." Her whole face lit up with realization. Then she giggled. "I totally forgot that you were working for the House of Danos." This got Ari to raise a brow. "I thought you worked at a cafe." "I mean, I am. I just didn't realize the owner was, you know." Pfft. Ari stifled a chuckle. "You sure are collecting the house like it's nothing. Maybe you should try to get on Professor Terra's good side too while you're at it." "Professor Terra? How did I not realize until now?" Before Luka could spiral on how ignorant she'd been, Bellamy pulled her along, and they made their way to the train station. There were only two malls in Locust Town, the Northern Locust Mall and the southern Locust Mall. Since Lotus Academy was in the center of the town, the distance between both malls was similar. However, going up north just meant she was in close proximity to her father. Unlike the southern side of Locust Town, where there were more people and individual cliques, the northern side functioned more like a village. That meant if she went up north without visiting her father, word would get back to him. She'd rather not have a call from her father today, so she suggested they head to the southern Locust Mall. Good idea, Bellamy said. I want to see how Wren's doing. That wasn't her intention, but she nodded in agreement. They took the southbound train. Let's sit over there, Ari said. They all occupied the women-only seating, with Bellamy sitting in between Luka and Ari. This was the second time Luka had sat here in all her life going through public transit. She usually just stood and dazed away until the train stopped at her station. When she told Ari that, she cringed in response. This is how you get your things stolen. Or worse, groped. Does that really happen? Ari blinked. Then a mock smile appeared on her lips. You know, I'm suddenly very curious about your upbringing. Oh, me too, Bellamy chimed in. Luka wasn't sure why they were so interested in her childhood. Luka crossed her fingers, resting them on her lap. I grew up well-loved by my mom. Her mother used to bring her to Asasia Park and other playgrounds when she was a kid, whether it was a reward for her hard work or if her father was too frustrated with her. It was one of the times when Luka could feel free to be herself. But maybe a little too much. Unfortunately, after that incident, when she was 10, her mother was too wary to let her go outside ever again. So besides school and the occasional grocery grab with her mother, Luka stayed home. I didn't get to go outside as much because of that. When she got accepted into Lotus Academy, she pleaded with her parents the entire summer to let her live nearby so she wouldn't have to take the train home every day. Eventually, her father allowed, but only if she maintained straight A's and a perfect attendance. My father can be a little pushy, but I think that's just because he wants me to be the best I can be. Luka watched the expression, or rather, the lack of expression from the two women. Was her retelling that boring and uninteresting? Ari and Bellamy looked at each other, like they were communicating through their eyes alone. Then Ari spoke up. So you didn't go on any school trips? Even I went on them and I caused tons of trouble for the teachers. No, my mom worried that something bad could have happened to me. Let me guess. She calls you every day now that you're not in her nest anymore. How does Ari know that? She used to. I see you talking to someone on the balcony every Friday. Is that your mom? Bellamy asked. Yeah. Wow, and here I thought Bellamy would be the sheltered child, Ari said with a hint of raz. Just as Bellamy turned to visibly soak at Ari, Luka took that as an opportunity. Say, I've been curious for a while, but how did you and Ari meet? That pulled Bellamy away from her soak. She turned to face Luka and said, Believe it or not, I met Ari during the biannual assembly a year ago. Luka's vacant expression must have given her away because Bellamy added, It's like a gathering of natives. I didn't realize natives had a gathering. Wait, does that mean Ari is a native? On my mother's side, Ari answered, though she seemed uninterested in one of Luka's sources on the men's opinion on Bellamy. With some of the comments she heard about Bellamy from him, it was fair that she didn't want to tell him. You never asked. Before he could reply, Ari slipped her finger under his pinky and pulled it up, forcing him to release his clutch on Luka. Ow! He shouted, giving Ari an indicator to stop. Let's keep our hands to ourselves, Ari said, giving him a smile that was anything but. Caspi leered, his expression caught in between a glare and astonishment. Luka might not be super informed about the people in the academy, but she at least knew about Ari's reputation, even if it was through passing gossips. Reggie walked over, his hand placed on Caspi's shoulder, and said, "All right, enough bothering the customers. The boss might not be here, but Iman definitely is." With the mention of Iman, the head cook, Caspi went right back into work mode and ushered them to a table toward the right side. What luck! Because this just so happened to give them a better look into the side of the kitchen Wren was working at. Well, Luka wouldn't see, since she sat facing the patio while Bellamy and Ari sat together. He handed the three ladies each a menu and headed back to the counter. What do you recommend, Luka?" Bellamy asked, giving the menu a serious look through. "Are you planning on eating?" "Of course. What about you two?" Sure. I mean, I haven't really eaten anything but a granola bar today," Luka replied. Luka and Bellamy then looked to Ari for her answer, only to see her loosely holding the menu and not staring at it. She was looking toward the kitchen, directly at Wren. Focused. "Ari?" Bellamy called out to her. Then she followed her gaze. "Do you also know Wren?" "Also?" Ari finally snapped back. She looked at Luka, having gotten her answer. "Ah, well, I certainly wasn't expecting a Vespula to be your cousin. What sort of fuckery went down for that to happen?" Something in Bellamy's expression flickered. "Ari, don't talk about Wren like that. You don't even know her." Ari had on a slight smile, like she wanted to say something, but chose to let it go. "You sure got me there. Maybe you should introduce her to me then. I'd love to meet her." A meeting between Ari and Wren. Luka couldn't imagine how that would turn out. Something in the pit of her stomach told her that it wasn't going to end well, but she hoped it wouldn't get out of hand. "So," Ari propped her chin on her hand, her elbow on the table. "Tell me about her." End of chapter 8. Luka has a bad feeling about Ari and Wren's first meeting. Don't miss the next chapter to see if she's right, and subscribe.